Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Kane sells Arabesque to Phyllis for $1, suddenly her life's in danger. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers reveal that Kane Ashby's, Billy Flynn, comeback has not gone well either on-screen or off-screen. Want more of The Young and the Restless? Get updates on the latest news about The Young and the Restless, straight to your inbox. We use your personal data for interest-based advertising, as outlined in our privacy notice. What is this? Report ad. Vocal fans on social media are having a hard time embracing the return with Kane's 180-degree flip in character. On screen, Kane is in the uphill fight of his life, both professionally and personally. Making matters worse, he's attached at the hip to Phyllis Summers, Stafford, who is just as unscrupulous and unlikable as he is. How can Kane redeem himself? So, how can Kane redeem himself? Last week Kane told his mother figure Jill Abbott, Jess Walton, that since the kids and their mom, Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, despise him, he may as well reach for the stars and forget about them. Jill guilted him out of that notion, so the only way to salvage his reputation is by removing himself from Arabesque. And since Phyllis has been his loyal partner, it makes sense he would gift her the company instead of selling to his enemies. Will Phyllis get everything? Kane might think that if he gives away his soiled fortune, his kids could come running back for Christmas. What is this? Report ad. Kane is a conflicted man. Everyone keeps yelling that he is not the same man he once was, and the only way to change that is to remove himself from the billions he allegedly got unscrupulously. He has to find a way to cleanse his image after Newman Media ran a piece exposing his grift of the De Leon family. What better way than to dissolve his company and give the proceeds to charity? Can Phyllis run GC? That would be benevolent of him, but the better strategy would be to sell Arabesque to Phyllis for $1. That would revolt his enemies and give Phyllis what she's always wanted, power and prestige. The one thing she won't count on is also inheriting the person who is trying to kill Kane. It makes sense that the person out to get him is avenging Kane's swindle against the De Leons. If Phyllis takes over Arabesque, who's to say that Kane's enemy won't come to Genoa City and target Phyllis? Should Phyllis be rewarded for her loyalty? Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with The Young and the Restless right now. Come back here often for the hottest Y&R updates, news, and spoilers. Get comfortable, and gain access to the best soap intel on the web. What is this? Report ad. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Kane sells Arabesque to Phyllis for $1, suddenly her life's in danger. In a shocking turn of events that's set to shake Genoa City to its core, The Young and the Restless is about to deliver one of its most jaw-dropping business and betrayal storylines in recent memory. The drama begins when Kane Ashby makes an unthinkable decision, selling the tech startup Arabesque to none other than Phyllis Summers for a single $1. But what looks like a sweet deal quickly becomes a deadly trap, as Phyllis finds herself pulled into a web of danger, deception, and double crosses that could cost her more than just money. It could cost her life. Phyllis Summers has never been one to shy away from risk. From her wild business ventures to her tumultuous relationships, she's always lived on the edge. But this time, the stakes are far higher than she could have imagined. When Kane offers her ownership of Arabesque, a company that once promised to revolutionize digital security and corporate technology, she sees an opportunity. For a woman desperate to reassert her power in Genoa City's competitive business world, especially after her repeated clashes with Jack Abbott and Billy, the offer seems almost too good to be true. And as every seasoned soap fan knows, when something sounds too good to be true in Genoa City, it usually is. The deal happens fast. Kane approaches Phyllis at society, cool and collected, with that faintly mysterious smirk that hides more than it reveals. $1, he says. That's all it'll take to make Arabesque yours. Phyllis laughs, thinking it's some kind of joke, but Kane insists. She signs the papers, assuming she's just scored the bargain of the decade. But within hours of putting pen to paper, she realizes she's inherited far more than she bargained for. Arabesque isn't just a struggling startup, it's a company tangled in corporate espionage, blackmail, and a stolen algorithm that several powerful figures would kill to possess. Within days, Phyllis starts noticing strange occurrences. A car follows her home one night. A mysterious email lands in her inbox, reading only, "You shouldn't have signed the deal." Her phone glitches, her laptop freezes, and when she tries to trace the source of the message, she finds her system has been hacked from an untraceable IP address. Suddenly, Arabesque's innocent facade falls away, and Phyllis realizes that Kane might have handed her a poisoned gift. Kane, of course, claims ignorance. When Phyllis storms into Crimson Lights to confront him, demanding to know what kind of mess he's dumped her into, he maintains his calm demeanor. "I sold you the company fair and square," he says. "Whatever's happening now, well, that's on you." But his tone, his evasive eyes, and the tension in his voice suggest he knows more than he's letting on. Viewers will soon learn that Kane's motivations are far more complex than anyone suspects. Rumors swirl that he's been forced into this move by a shadowy investor group linked to the same tech syndicate that once tried to steal Jabot's proprietary formulas. This mysterious group could be using Phyllis as a scapegoat, transferring Arabesque's ownership to her to cover their tracks before authorities. Or please subscribe and like the video before continuing. Rival corporations close in. Phyllis, ever the survivor, won't go down quietly. She enlists the help of Adam Newman, whose hacker expertise could be the key to uncovering the truth. Despite their complicated history and mutual distrust, Adam agrees to dig into Arabesque's systems. What he finds chills them both: files encrypted with government-level security, coded references to Project Vantage, and documents suggesting the company has been laundering funds through offshore accounts tied to a criminal network operating out of Singapore. Suddenly, Phyllis realizes she's sitting on a ticking time bomb. The danger isn't just virtual, it's physical. A break-in at her hotel room confirms that someone is watching her. Her documents are gone, her laptop wiped clean, and a warning is left behind: leave Arabesque, or you'll leave Genoa City in a body bag. But if there's one thing we know about Phyllis Summers, it's that she doesn't scare easily. She doubles down, determined to expose whoever's behind this conspiracy. Yet the deeper she digs, the closer danger gets. Adam urges her to back off, warning that she's in over her head. Even Jack, despite their rocky history, tries to step in, offering protection and legal help through Jabot's contacts. "You're not invincible, Phyllis," he tells her. "This isn't one of your games." But Phyllis refuses to be saved. In true Phyllis fashion, she plays her cards close to the chest, manipulating her enemies while pretending to walk away. Meanwhile, Kane's guilt begins to show. In private, he makes a cryptic phone call: "It's done. She owns it now. But I'm warning you, Phyllis doesn't go down without a fight." That line alone sets the stage for what could be one of the Young and the Restless' most gripping arcs in years. As tension builds, speculation grows about Kane's real motives. Did he sell Arabesque to protect Phyllis from a worse fate, or to use her as bait in a deadly setup? And is there still a part of him that cares about her, or has he truly turned dark? Viewers will soon see that Arabesque's secrets reach further than anyone imagined. New evidence suggests the company's data system was designed to spy on Newman Enterprises, Chancellor Winters, and Jabot. Someone in Genoa City may have orchestrated the entire thing as part of a corporate. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. Takedown war, and Phyllis just became the perfect scapegoat. Victoria Newman, ever the ruthless businesswoman, catches wind of the chaos and begins digging for her own benefit. Arabesque's tech could change everything, she says, hinting at Newman's interest in acquiring the company through back channels. Victor Newman, however, sees something bigger. To him, Kane's sale isn't just a business move, it's a signal of a new power game brewing beneath Genoa City's surface. No one gives away a company for $1 unless it's worth much, much more, Victor warns, his instincts as sharp as ever. As the storyline progresses, the danger surrounding Phyllis escalates. Someone tampers with her car brakes. Security footage at the Grand Phoenix mysteriously disappears. A shadowy figure is seen outside her suite late at night. The audience is left wondering, who's trying to silence Phyllis, and why? Is Kane working for them, or trying to protect her in his own twisted way? The suspense reaches fever pitch when Phyllis uncovers a hidden drive containing the full blueprint of Project Vantage, an AI software capable of infiltrating global corporate networks. The drive also holds evidence implicating multiple Genoa City figures, perhaps even some of the most powerful ones, in illegal surveillance and data manipulation. The twist? The software was originally developed under the leadership of someone Phyllis once trusted, Tucker McCall. Tucker's involvement opens another Pandora's box of deceit, as Devon and Audra scramble to figure out what Tucker's real endgame is. Could Tucker be the mastermind pulling Kane's strings? Or is there another, unseen player at work, perhaps a familiar face returning to reclaim control of Arabesque for their own purposes? As Phyllis races to expose the truth, she's forced to confront her own past choices. Her ambition, her pride, her relentless drive to prove herself, all of it has led her to this moment. But now, she's realizing that power always comes with a price. And this time, it might be her life. In a dramatic cliffhanger, Phyllis arranges a secret meeting with Kane at Chancellor Park to demand answers once and for all. The tension is palpable as she waits in the darkness, clutching the flash drive. Suddenly, headlights blaze through the fog. A car speeds toward her, tires screeching, before everything fades to black. The next morning, Genoa City awakens to shocking news. A woman matching Phyllis Summers' description has been rushed to the hospital after a hit and run. Kane is nowhere to be found. The flash drive? Missing. The aftermath promises chaos. Jack rushes to the hospital, guilt-ridden and desperate to make amends. Adam vows revenge against whoever targeted Phyllis. And Victor? He's already putting together a team to find out who's really behind Arabesque, and whether this mysterious project poses a threat to Newman Enterprises. The fallout will ripple across Genoa City, reigniting rivalries, exposing alliances, and forcing old enemies to work together. Phyllis's near-death experience could mark a turning point, not just for her, but for everyone entangled in this dark web. Will she survive long enough to reveal the truth about Arabesque? And if she does, will she finally find redemption, or become the ultimate casualty of her own ambition? One thing's certain, this storyline cements the young and the restless as a master of high-stakes intrigue and emotional drama. With Kane's mysterious motives, Phyllis's fiery determination, and a dangerous conspiracy that ties together half the town, fans are in for a roller coaster ride that will keep them glued to their screens week after week. Because in Genoa City, power isn't just about who holds the cards, it's about who's willing to risk it all to play the game. The young and the restless, how can Kane redeem himself? Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. For longtime Young and the Restless fans, Kane Ashby has always been one of the most complicated and misunderstood characters to ever walk the streets of Genoa City. He's been the hero, the liar, the lover, the schemer, and the man trying to do the right thing for all the wrong reasons. From his early days as a mysterious stranger pretending to be someone else's son to his years as a family man, a corporate player, and eventually a fallen soul searching for purpose, Kane's journey has been filled with triumphs and heartbreaks. But lately, fans have been wondering, can Kane truly redeem himself? Can he come back from the lies, betrayals, and bad choices that cost him everything? And what would redemption even look like for a man like Kane Ashby? To answer that, we have to look at where he's been, and where he could be going next. When Kane first arrived in Genoa City, he seemed like a man with a heart of gold and a mysterious past. His charm, his humility, and his dedication to family made him an instant fan favorite. His romance with Lily Winters was one of those rare soap love stories that felt genuine, passionate, and enduring. For years, they were the heart of the show's romantic center, proof that love could overcome anything. But as the years went on, cracks began to show. Kane's lies about his identity, his secrets about his past in Australia, and later, his betrayals involving business and women started to tarnish his image. The final blow came when his marriage to Lily imploded under the weight of mistrust and infidelity. Kane was left adrift, a man without an anchor, trying to prove to the world, and himself, that he was more than the mistakes he'd made. Now, as The Young and the Restless seems to be teasing a potential return to prominence for Kane, the question isn't whether he deserves redemption, it's how he can earn it. Kane's path forward won't be easy, but it could be one of the most powerful comeback stories in Y&R history if done right. Redemption for Kane begins with truth. The man has built much of his life on half-truths and cover-ups, often claiming noble motives for choices that hurt the people he loved most. If Kane wants to regain the respect of Genoa City, and more importantly, his own self-respect, he needs to face the music once and for all. That means coming clean about everything, his deals, his secrets, his guilt, and his regrets. He's got to stop hiding behind charm and self-pity and start taking responsibility for the chaos he's caused. Viewers have always seen glimpses of the real Kane, the man who deeply loves his children, who aches for redemption, who's capable of great integrity when he chooses to be. That's the version of Kane that fans want back. One possible route to redemption could be through heroism, not in the traditional sense, but in the emotional one. Kane has always been at his best when he's protecting someone else. His love for Lily and their twins, Charlie and Maddie, once made him a better man. Reconnecting with his kids, being the stable father they deserve, and showing up for them without expecting forgiveness could be the first step in rebuilding his moral foundation. He doesn't need grand gestures or business victories, he needs consistency, humility, and love. Another intriguing path could come through his relationship with Phyllis Summers. Their recent business entanglement, particularly the suspicious sale of Arabesque for $1, has fans buzzing. Many suspect Kane may have been forced into that deal or manipulated by powerful figures behind the scenes. If that's true, redemption could come from Kane risking his own safety to protect Phyllis or expose the truth. Imagine Kane uncovering a massive corporate conspiracy and putting himself on the line to save Phyllis from danger. Not only would that prove his bravery, but it would also show he's willing to put someone else's welfare ahead of his own ambitions, something he hasn't done in a long time. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. But beyond action and plot twists, redemption is also emotional. Kane needs to make peace with his past. His failed marriage to Lily still defines much of his character, even years later. Fans still feel the sting of what could have been. Their love was rare, and despite everything that went wrong, it's hard to deny the deep connection that once existed. Kane's redemption could involve finally making amends to Lily in an authentic, selfless way. Not trying to win her back, but showing her, through his actions, not words, that he's changed. Maybe Lily, now stronger and more independent than ever, could even help guide Kane toward a more purposeful path. Their relationship doesn't have to be romantic again, but it could become something more meaningful, two people who once loved each other learning to forgive and move forward. Another crucial aspect of Kane's comeback could involve finding a new identity beyond being Lily's ex-husband or a corporate hustler. For too long, his storylines have revolved around love affairs, lies, and business rivalries. It's time for Kane to evolve. Maybe he finds redemption by mentoring someone younger, perhaps a struggling Genoa City newcomer who reminds him of his own lost innocence. Kane could use his hard-earned wisdom to help someone avoid the same mistakes he made. It would be a full-circle moment that shows real growth. Or perhaps he could start fresh in the business world, but this time, with honesty. Maybe he revives a company like Arabesque legitimately, using it as a platform to do good, helping victims of corporate fraud or even creating programs that help ex-cons reintegrate into society. Imagine Kane becoming the kind of businessman who puts ethics before profit, something almost unheard of in Genoa City. That alone would make him stand out. Then there's the question of family. Kane's been disconnected from the Winters family for too long. Neil's legacy, Lily's strength, and Devon's success are reminders of the stability and love Kane once had but lost. A major step toward redemption could involve him reconnecting with Devon and Lily's family, perhaps even becoming a bridge between them and the Abbotts or Newmans in some future corporate war. The idea of Kane standing beside Devon or even working with Nate Hastings in a mutual business venture could breathe new life into his storyline. He doesn't need to dominate the scene, he needs to contribute something meaningful again. One thing is certain, Kane's redemption arc can't be rushed. It must be earned, brick by brick. The writers have an opportunity to rebuild him slowly, letting viewers see the transformation happen in real time. Soap fans love a good redemption story, think Adam Newman, Billy Abbott, or even Phyllis herself. What makes these arcs so compelling isn't the perfection that comes after, but the humanity of the struggle along the way. Kane's greatest strength has always been his vulnerability. When he's stripped of his arrogance and forced to confront his own failures, Daniel Goddard's performance shines brightest. The audience connects to that broken man trying to be better. That's the version that can win back fans' hearts and earn forgiveness within the story. And who knows, redemption could even lead to romance. Phyllis could become an unexpected ally, someone who sees beyond his mistakes because she's made plenty of her own. Together, they could form a bond built not on passion or scheming, but on shared experience, two flawed souls who understand each other's pain. Alternatively, Kane could reconnect with someone like Abby Newman, who's been through her own emotional roller coaster. Their partnership could symbolize renewal, a fresh start built on honesty rather than deceit. But perhaps the truest redemption for Kane isn't about love, money, or success. It's about forgiveness, forgiving himself for the past. For too long, he's lived as a man defined by what he's lost. The only way forward is for him to finally accept that redemption isn't about erasing mistakes, it's about transforming them into lessons. If Kane can learn to forgive himself and live authentically, without pretense or desperation, he could truly rise again. In the end, Kane Ashby's story has always been about duality, the battle between his better angels and his darker impulses. He's lied, cheated, and schemed, but he's also loved deeply, sacrificed for others, and shown immense courage when it mattered most. Genoa City doesn't need a perfect man. It needs a real one, someone who's stumbled, fallen, and fought to rise again. That's why fans still root for Kane. Because deep down, they know that beneath the mistakes lies a man who genuinely wants to do right. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. If The Young and the Restless gives Kane the chance to rebuild, through honesty, selflessness, and true personal growth, his redemption could be one of the most compelling comeback arcs in modern daytime history. It wouldn't just redeem Kane, it would remind viewers that even in a world full of lies, revenge, and betrayal, second chances are always possible. Because in Genoa City, redemption isn't about rewriting the past, it's about fighting for a better future, no matter how far you've fallen. And if anyone deserves that chance, it's Kane Ashby. The Young and the Restless, will Phyllis get everything? Phyllis Summers has always been one of The Young and the Restless' most daring, unpredictable, and fiercely independent characters. She's the kind of woman who can rise from the ashes of her own destruction and come out stronger, smarter, and even more determined than before. But lately, her life in Genoa City has once again spiraled into a maze of ambition, danger, and deceit. After her shocking deal with Kane Ashby, buying Arabesque for just $1, Phyllis finds herself in the center of a power storm that could make or break her. The question everyone's asking now, will Phyllis finally get everything she's ever wanted, or will this be the deal that destroys her once and for all? To understand what's at stake, we need to remember who Phyllis really is. For decades, she's been the ultimate survivor. From hacking corporate systems to manipulating business rivals and even faking her own death, Phyllis has done it all in the name of control. Power, independence, and redemption have always been her driving forces. She's not the kind of woman to sit back and watch others win, she takes risks, and when she's cornered, she fights harder than anyone. That's exactly why the Arabesque deal felt like classic Phyllis, risky, impulsive, and full of potential. She thought she was getting a struggling company for next to nothing. But what she really inherited was a ticking time bomb. Phyllis's goal has always been simple, to prove that she's more than the mistakes of her past. She's been burned too many times by men who underestimated her and business partners who used her. From her complicated romance with Nick Newman to her explosive rivalry with Diane Jenkins, Phyllis has been fighting for her place in Genoa City for years. Owning Arabesque was supposed to be her grand comeback. In her mind, this was the chance to rebuild her empire, reclaim her reputation, and remind everyone that Phyllis Summers is still one of the smartest and most dangerous women in town. But this time, her ambition may have gone too far. The moment she took over Arabesque, strange things began to happen, threats, sabotage, and mysterious attacks that left her questioning everyone around her. Was Kane setting her up? Was Tucker McCall involved in something bigger? And who was really pulling the strings behind Arabesque's shadowy operations? For Phyllis, the truth is both a weapon and a curse. Every secret she uncovers only draws her deeper into danger. But even as her life spins out of control, one thing remains constant, her hunger for victory. She doesn't just want success, she wants to win. She wants the power, the respect, and the validation that's always been just out of her reach. She wants to walk into Society or Newman Towers and know that everyone there fears her, admires her, or at least acknowledges that she beat them all at their own game. That's the fire that drives her, and it's what keeps fans both rooting for her and fearing for her. The irony is that Phyllis often becomes her own worst enemy. Every time she's on the verge of success, she pushes too hard or trusts the wrong person. This pattern has haunted her for years, from her downfall at Jabot to her betrayal of Nick and her clashes with Jack Abbott. Now, as she navigates the chaos surrounding Arabesque, the same question looms over her. Can she truly change? Or will her thirst for control destroy everything she's worked for? Kane's involvement complicates things even more. When he sold Arabesque to Phyllis for $1, he set off a chain reaction that neither of them could have predicted. Kane claims he did it for business reasons, but his motives remain murky. Some fans believe he was trying to protect her by transferring ownership before dangerous forces caught up with him. Others suspect he used Phyllis as a pawn, knowing that once she got tangled up in Arabesque secrets, she'd become the perfect distraction. Either way, Phyllis is left holding the bag, and whatever comes next could decide her fate. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. But here's the thing about Phyllis Summers, she thrives in chaos. The more pressure she's under, the sharper she becomes. When everyone else panics, she plots. When others back down, she digs in deeper. That's why so many people underestimate her. They forget that she's a strategist, a fighter, and a survivor rolled into one. This time, though, the stakes are higher than ever. If she can outsmart her enemies and turn Arabesque's hidden dangers into leverage, she could end up controlling one of the most powerful tech assets in Genoa City. But if she fails, she could lose everything, her business, her freedom, even her life. Meanwhile, the men of Genoa City are already circling. Victor Newman has reportedly taken an interest in Arabesque, curious about its technology and its potential connections to Newman Media. Jack Abbott, despite his complicated feelings for Phyllis, is keeping a watchful eye too, worried that she's getting in over her head. Adam Newman, ever the wild card, seems drawn to her chaos. He recognizes the same relentless ambition in her that burns within him. Together, they could form a dangerous alliance, one built on mutual respect and shared scars. But can two people who've burned so many bridges really trust each other long enough to win? Phyllis might think she's playing the game, but what if she's the one being played? There's a growing theory that Arabesque's transfer wasn't just a business deal, it was a trap. Someone, possibly Tucker or even a new unseen enemy, may have orchestrated the entire thing to use Phyllis as a scapegoat. By the time she realizes it, she might be too deep to escape. Yet, if history has taught us anything, it's that Phyllis always finds a way to turn her biggest disasters into opportunities. She can spin chaos into victory like no one else. The big question now is, what does everything really mean for Phyllis? On the surface, it's money, power, and respect. But deep down, it's about something more, redemption. Phyllis doesn't just want to win in business, she wants to be seen, understood, and accepted. For years, she's been fighting against the label of being the troublemaker, the schemer, the woman who always crosses the line. Maybe this time, she wants to prove that she can rise above her reputation and finally be the hero of her own story. Yet, to truly get everything, Phyllis may have to lose something first, her pride. That's the one thing that's always gotten in her way. Whether it's refusing to admit when she's wrong or pushing away people who try to help her, Phyllis has built walls so high that even the people who love her can't break through. If she wants lasting success, she'll need to let others in, people like Summer, Daniel, or even Jack. Her family could be the key to her redemption, if only she allows herself to trust them again. Imagine a version of Phyllis who uses her brilliance for good instead of revenge. She could rebuild Arabesque into a legitimate powerhouse, perhaps even teaming up with Newman Media or Chancellor Winters to expose corporate corruption. She could transform from the hunted to the hunter, using her tech knowledge and cunning to dismantle the criminal network that once threatened her. And when the dust settles, she could stand tall as one of the most powerful women in Genoa City, not because she manipulated her way to the top, but because she earned it. Of course, this is Genoa City, and no victory comes without a price. As Phyllis edges closer to uncovering the truth behind Arabesque, she'll likely face betrayal from those she least expects. Friends may turn on her, lovers may lie, and allies may vanish when things get dangerous. But that's what makes Phyllis so captivating. She never gives up, no matter how many times the world tries to knock her down. She thrives on reinvention. Even if she loses everything again, she'll find a way to rebuild, stronger than before. In the end, whether Phyllis truly gets everything depends on what she values most. If she chases power for its own sake, she might find herself alone again, trapped in the same cycle of ambition and regret. But if she learns to balance her strength with vulnerability, to lead with her heart as much as her cunning, then maybe, just maybe, she'll finally find peace. And for Phyllis Summers, peace might be the ultimate victory. Still, fans know better than to count her out. This is a woman who's outsmarted the Newmans, the Abbotts, and even death itself. So while danger lurks around every corner and betrayal could strike at any moment, Phyllis may yet come out on top. If she can turn this chaos into opportunity, Arabesque could become her greatest triumph. The question is, will she use it to conquer Genoa City, or destroy it? One thing's for sure, whatever happens next, Phyllis Summers won't go quietly. Whether she's scheming her way into power or clawing her way back from ruin, she's the heartbeat of Genoa City's most explosive drama. And as long as she's fighting, the game isn't over. Will she get everything she's ever wanted? Or will she lose it all in her quest to have it? Only time will tell. But one thing's undeniable, when Phyllis Summers plays the game, everyone else better watch their backs. The young and the restless, can Phyllis run Genoa City? Phyllis Summers has never been content playing second to anyone. From the moment she set foot in Genoa City, she's been a force to be reckoned with, a whirlwind of intelligence, ambition, and danger wrapped in one of daytime television's most captivating personalities. She's fought the Newmans, battled the Abbotts, seduced her rivals, and built an empire more than once, only to see it crash down around her. But what if this time, things were different? What if Phyllis Summers, against all odds, didn't just survive the chaos, she took over completely? Could Phyllis actually run Genoa City? Could she outplay every Newman, Abbott, and McCall, and become the most powerful person the city has ever seen? It's a bold idea, but one that suddenly doesn't seem so impossible. After all, Phyllis has already proven that she's as smart, strategic, and ruthless as any of Genoa City's corporate titans. She's the kind of woman who can turn a crisis into an opportunity, who can see angles no one else notices, and who thrives in the very chaos that destroys other people. And right now, with the balance of power in Genoa City shifting once again, this might be the perfect moment for Phyllis to step up and claim the throne. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. Let's start with what she has going for her. For one, Phyllis knows how to win in the corporate world. She's run companies before, Jabot, Fenmore's, and her own ventures like Restless Style and the Grand Phoenix. Every time, she's shown a rare mix of creativity and cunning that puts her ahead of her competitors. Where others see roadblocks, Phyllis sees opportunity. When Jack Abbott underestimated her, she reinvented herself as a digital business mogul. When the Newmans froze her out, she built her own empire from scratch. She's a survivor who adapts faster than anyone else. But more importantly, Phyllis understands people. She might manipulate them, lie to them, or push them too far, but she reads them perfectly. That's what makes her dangerous. She can sense weakness, predict reactions, and turn her enemies' moves into her own advantages. In a city full of schemers and power players, that skill alone could make her unstoppable. Of course, Phyllis also has her fair share of enemies. Victor Newman, Jack Abbott, and Tucker McCall are all men who've built their empires on control. They don't take kindly to anyone who threatens their power, especially someone like Phyllis, who doesn't play by their rules. But if there's one thing history has shown, it's that underestimating Phyllis is always a mistake. She's gone toe-to-toe with Victor before and lived to tell the tale. She's beaten Jack at his own game more than once. And Tucker, for all his bravado, has a soft spot for chaos, a weakness Phyllis could easily exploit. Her latest business move, acquiring Arabesque for $1, could be the start of her most ambitious takeover yet. While the deal initially seemed like a disaster waiting to happen, it might turn out to be her greatest opportunity. Arabesque's technology, rumored to involve advanced AI and data security systems, could give Phyllis access to information and power that rivals even Victor's reach. In the world of Genoa City, information is the ultimate weapon, and Phyllis might soon have more of it than anyone. Imagine it, Phyllis using Arabesque to infiltrate corporate systems, uncover secrets, and manipulate deals behind the scenes. She could control Jabot from the shadows, expose Newman Enterprises' weaknesses, and make herself indispensable to every major player in town. By the time anyone realizes what she's done, it might be too late. Phyllis would already be running the board. But ruling Genoa City isn't just about business. It's about influence, connections, and image. For Phyllis to truly seize control, she'd need to repair her reputation, or at least reshape it. Over the years, she's been painted as the villain, the troublemaker, the woman who always crosses the line. But that narrative could actually work in her favor. Phyllis doesn't need to be loved, she needs to be feared and respected. In a world where power often comes from perception, Phyllis could reinvent herself as the ultimate self-made mogul, a woman who built her empire while the rest of Genoa City played by outdated rules. She could even form a new kind of power alliance, one that catches everyone off guard. Picture it, Phyllis joining forces with Adam Newman, another outcast genius who knows what it's like to be underestimated. Together, they could shake the city's power structure to its core. Adam brings his corporate ruthlessness and inside knowledge of Newman family politics, while Phyllis supplies the cunning and technology. It would be a dangerous partnership built on mutual respect and shared ambition, one that could finally give them both the dominance they crave. Phyllis could also use her children as a foundation for her legacy. Her daughter, Summer, has been carving her own path at Marchetti, proving that she's every bit as smart and strong-willed as her mother. If Phyllis plays her cards right, she could create a Summers family dynasty, one that rivals the Newmans and Abbotts. Imagine a world where the Summers family controls Genoa City's fashion, media, and technology industries. Daniel could handle the creative ventures, Summer could run the fashion arm, and Phyllis could sit at the top, orchestrating it all. It's a dream that might not be as far-fetched as it seems. Of course, with great power comes even greater enemies. If Phyllis ever truly began to consolidate that kind of influence, the entire city would turn against her. Victor would see her as a threat to his legacy. Nikki would warn everyone to stay away. Jack might feel betrayed all over again, reopening old wounds between them. Even her children could struggle to reconcile their love for her with the ruthless empire she's building. But that kind of drama is exactly what fuels Phyllis. The more resistance she faces, the harder she pushes. She thrives on proving people wrong. Still, the biggest question isn't whether Phyllis can run Genoa City, it's whether she should. Power has always been her greatest temptation, and it's often led to her downfall. Every time she's gotten close to the top, her ambition and pride have pushed her over the edge. To truly please subscribe and like the video before continuing. Rule Genoa City, Phyllis would need to evolve. She'd have to find balance, to learn when to fight and when to trust, when to manipulate and when to lead. The woman who always acted on impulse would need to become the strategist who thinks 10 moves ahead. And maybe, just maybe, that evolution is already happening. After everything she's endured, the betrayals, the failures, the near-death experiences, Phyllis seems more self-aware than ever. She's still fiery and impulsive, but she's also introspective in moments. She's beginning to understand that power isn't just about control, it's about stability and vision. If she can harness that new awareness, she might not just win battles, she could win the entire war. Running Genoa City isn't about having the most money or the biggest company. It's about commanding loyalty, inspiring fear, and knowing when to strike. Victor Newman built his empire through intimidation. Jack Abbott built his through legacy. Tucker McCall built his through manipulation. But Phyllis Summers could build hers through adaptability, by turning her flaws into assets and using her outsider status as her greatest strength. She's not burdened by family expectations or corporate politics. She's free to rewrite the rules. In a sense, Phyllis already runs Genoa City in spirit. Every major storyline, every business deal, every emotional breakdown seems to orbit around her in some way. She's the wild card that keeps everyone else on edge. Without her, the city would feel static, predictable. With her, it's electric, unpredictable, and alive. That energy is what makes her the heart of the show. So, can Phyllis run Genoa City? The answer might be yes, but not in the way anyone expects. She doesn't need to own every company or dominate every boardroom to control the city. She just needs to stay one step ahead of everyone else, pulling strings behind the scenes, shaping outcomes with her intellect and instincts. And if she decides to take full control, there may be nothing, and no one, who can stop her. Still, true power always comes with sacrifice. To rule Genoa City, Phyllis would have to give up something, maybe love, maybe trust, maybe even her humanity. The question then becomes, how far is she willing to go? Is she prepared to be feared instead of loved, to stand alone on top of the world she's conquered? Knowing Phyllis, the answer might very well be yes. At the end of the day, Phyllis Summers is more than just a survivor, she's a visionary. She's the embodiment of Genoa City's restless energy, bold, flawed, and endlessly determined. Whether she's running a hotel, hacking into systems, or battling billionaires, she always finds a way to come out swinging. And if she ever truly decides to take over Genoa City, she won't just run it, she'll redefine it. Because in the end, Genoa City doesn't belong to the Newmans, the Abbotts, or the McCalls. It belongs to the one who dares to take it. And that person just might be Phyllis Summers, the queen who refused to be forgotten, the fighter who never gave up, and the woman who's always 2 steps ahead of everyone else. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing.